September Finance Committee meeting. Let's see here. We want to go over your wonderful document, Mr. Miracle, first. I think looking over at the payroll was some things coming up where.
Yeah, I think this month Marcus added payroll. We want to take a look at that and keep that in front of you. And good idea. So after we complete September, we're going to get this done again quickly, try and get it to you. Because if you see on there was a couple looked out in November, December kind of time frame. They're in, I think there's 3 of them that could potentially be negative.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get that in front of you now, and then whatever we have to do to remedy that sooner rather than later. So that's the intent of this report, and us discussing it monthly is to review the funds, make sure that we're on track in terms of revenue and our disbursements, and then now we have the payroll on there. So, and we'll dive into that a little bit more next month, because I'm thinking that we've already had 2 5-week pay periods in the year, so those are behind us. So we'll look next month when we have this meeting and kind of see where we're at and what we have to, what steps that we have to take there, if any.
And everything else looked.
Yeah, we're just looking for anomalies or anything that sticks out to you each month.
I had 2 questions.
Yes.
One is just so with the fund one, with the general fund or Fund 1001. I can't say that for some reason. So it looks like, if I'm reading it right, that our revenue is outpacing our expenses just on a per month basis, which is always nice to see.
Yeah. As of this point in time. Yeah.
Yep. I just wanted to make sure that was correct. The other question I had was more just, this may be something that you're maybe looking at, or maybe something you can't really do, is with all of the accounts that really, it doesn't seem like they've been used for a while. Is there any benefit to getting rid of some of those accounts, or is it better to just have it and not need it?
That's a good question. You know, I think that we're trying to review those, and if it's something, if they haven't been used in quite some time, then maybe that's something we could do. But we really, honestly, that wasn't really our focus. But that's something we can look at moving forward.
Yeah, I figured it was, not anything that was actively hurtful.
Right.
It was more just, it was like, oh wow, there's a lot of blank space, but.
Yeah, some inactive for some time.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
This is just to show that I'm paying attention more than anything. I think I know the answer, but I am trying to study this better and know how to unpack it.
Yeah.
So in the Y column, the 24 collected percent, there's several lines that have over 90% already spent. Most of those look like, well, all the ones I've seen are all contractual services.
Yeah.
Is that just that we've put all of our eggs in the basket in the first of the year and then we're not going to be spending that later?
Yeah, I think, and some of those, it's timing, that you might have already you've designated this amount of money, and at this time, you've already used up.
The project's done.
The project's done.
Projects.
Right.
Yeah, so more of what you were alluding to.
And I saw several capital things, and that makes a lot of sense that we've
Yes.
spent the capital budget, early in the year already.
Right.
Like I said, I figured it was just more about me trying to say that I'm trying to learn and pay attention to this.
Well, I think we're all, this is why we're doing this. It's in front of us. You have it in plenty of time to review it. We can ask questions and go over it together, but I think also to make sure that we are on pace where we should be, and that's the big point that we were trying to drive home.
Yeah, it's just nice to see, like, revenue's ticking along, expenses are not out of whack. And even with, so right now we've got a projected deficit, but not really, because we have a balance in the bank, so, and that's what we should be doing. We should be trying to catch
Yeah.
up with stuff that we have had to kick down the road a little bit, so.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to see. I was like, oh, the
Yeah.
city has money. How lovely. uh,
Yeah, so, and, moving forward, we'll continue to do this, and if you have any questions, you're welcome to email them prior to the meeting and make sure, I can have all the answers for you, but if not, we'll continue to do it this way. But I think we have some clarity with this report and what's moving forward.
And then the next thing on the agenda, which I'm really excited about, Mr. Miracle and his friends over at Reading kind of recommended this, the Ohio checkbook. So I'll let you kind of take the floor there, but it's something that I think will be excited for Norwood.
Yeah, it's the Ohio Treasurer's Office, and it's the Ohio checkbook. It's free. If you go onto the Ohio checkbook, you can look it up by school district, you can look up by cities or towns, and it's alphabetically. And then speaking to Sabrina Smith, who's the auditor of Reading, which we met at the Greater Cincinnati Fiscal Officers Association meetings. We had one in August. We're going to have one in October. And one of the things I feel very strongly about, and I'm sure I know Mrs. Winterbauer does, is transparency. So what we'd like to do is, which we've already been talking to them, going back and forth with some questions and making sure that the software we have is applicable as well. And so we're hoping that sometime in October that we can be up and running. And what happens is, on a monthly basis, from what I'm being told, it takes about 5 minutes, essentially, to run a report, and then they get it and you approve it, and then they put it right on the website. If you look at Reading, I think they were able to go back 10 years. So they have all of their expenditures there for you to look at. You can look at it by fund, different funds, date, time, whatever, and it's pretty simple. I think you can even drill down a little bit if you want to go in there and anybody wants to take a look at it. And obviously I want to talk to our legal counsel here, make sure everything, we're cross our T's, dot our I's here. But there's quite a few folks that do it, and it's through as I said, the Ohio Treasurer's Office. It's free, and I think it'd be nice to have that information at your fingertips. You can look at it anytime that you wish. It's ohiocheckbook.com.
yeah.
And the Norwood City Schools is on it.
Yes.
But I really like the website and how it's set up. It's easy to use, easy to find whoever you're looking for. You click on it, pulls up, whichever fund you click on, what those expenses were. So
Yeah, it's pretty simple, really.
it is. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's really, I'm looking at it right now,
Oh,
the
yeah,
city
okay.
of Reading.
Yeah.
That's nice. Not that we need necessarily all 10 years
Right.
like they have, but even just having like a couple years
Yeah.
prior for people to see,
I
they can kind
think-
of see how the trends are, and
Right.
it simplifies it in a way that having a big spreadsheet is great, but if you just want to know how much we're spending on fire,
Yes.
you can see how much we're spending on fire per
Yeah.
year.
And I think in my discussion with them, that, they'll be able to go back 5 years for us.
Yeah, still great. 5 years is a nice
Yeah.
kind of snapshot of the city.
And see how much money we're spending on streets.
Yes.
Yeah.
See how much money we have to spend
Yes.
that is not, already allocated for fire, police, other essential services. So I think
Yeah.
that's a question people always have, is like, why aren't we spending money on streets, like,
We are.
we are,
We are.
there's only so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to use that money for, salaries for our firefighters, et cetera.
Right.
So it would be good to have that as a resource for people. And I'm
Exactly.
excited to see it,
Yeah.
us up there too with all these other cities, so.
Yeah, there's quite a few cities that are on there, and there's no reason why we can't do this as well.
Yep, there's New Carlisle, Reading, Beaver Creek, Blue Ash,
Yep.
large and small.
Yes.
Seems like it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think there's some pretty sizable cities on there as well. You can check that out, but hopefully in the next, I'd say 3 weeks or so, we can make that happen. Of course, we're going to do our due diligence and work with Mr. Moore and his office, and of course with you and the finance committee, and make this happen in a timely fashion.
Great.
And this is in lieu of, months ago, we were looking at ClearGov or something like
Yeah,
that.
I've looked at those, and of course, those are a little pricey, and maybe there's some other things that we can add and maybe try to do on our own. But I just think that if there's a product out there that apparently is, I think, pretty easy to use and doesn't cost taxpayers anything, and we can increase our transparency, I really don't see any reason why, we wouldn't do that. And maybe we can build on that moving further, and that's something we can talk about in here. Maybe what would we like to see on there? I do know that some of the, they're kind of nice, and they've got, looks good, and I like it, but I think maybe we should start here, and maybe we can grow and build upon that. Maybe we can even say, what would the finance team like to see on there? If there's other things that maybe we can get from other resources that also are free, we could utilize that as well. So I really I have kind of it's a little difficult for me to try and spend too much money on that, I think.
No, the price sounds right.
Yeah, the price sounds right. But, I'm not saying that wouldn't happen, in the future, but let's start here and start utilizing this. And maybe there's things that we can do internally here to, on our own website, to kind of put some nice bells and whistles on there. Because there might be someone that, some IT folks that are much more proficient than I am, that we could put some things on there that perhaps you would like to see, or Mrs. Winterbauer, or Mrs. Franzen, Mr. Braden, or any council, or even our residents would like to maybe say, hey, I'd like to, whatever it is, we can put it on there. So build upon it, start here, and see where we go from there.
Well, and to maybe skip ahead, you've got something on the agenda for the full council meeting tonight, which, the way I understand it, is these reports are going to be put into public record during each council meeting, or during the monthly council meeting. So,
Yeah.
they're there for anybody who wants to access it and, wants to look into it. If they want to get nitty gritty, where it looks like this is much more user friendly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's good to have options for people who are more number-minded versus, I think, probably majority of people who just kind of want to know the overview.
Right.
It'd be nice to have both options for people.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is nice. So I'm looking at the website right now just to say this out loud. You can look at a city's breakdown of expenses by department or by whatever fund types they have, or even by like payee. So you can see who's like the fire chief, who's getting, or you think, oh, obviously there's this person's getting the most and then this person's getting the most. Just depends on what detail you want. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's nice, pretty easy user interface, loads quickly, and has a couple different options for how you use stuff. So
Charts
Thank-
user friendly.
yes, charts are nice.
Charts are nice.
Yes, having line graphs and bar graphs is nice, just to get a quick view of like, okay, what's going on.
And also just, I think in our auditor's website, we have a link to that, and you can
Yeah.
just pop on there too.
That's exciting. All right, anything else to report from the auditor's office?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Wagers, any?
Yeah. Thank you. I think James will be here at council tonight, so he's probably going to speak on some of the same things. It is the end of the third quarter, so we'll be sending out our quarterly statements for the tax department here either this week or the beginning of next week. They'll be due October 15th. We get the typical kind of uptick there at the end of the third quarter. That's when extensions are due. Everything, we kind of get not the same volume as April, but it definitely picks up both in the phone calls and the mail. So it kind of gives us something to do, but also kind of keeps us busy if people have trouble, contacting us. And then we're also a person down right now, which doesn't help at all either, because we're pretty short-staffed. As far as the treasury goes, and I know Mr. Boswell's going to want to speak to it, we did go ahead and transfer the funds that went to Red Tree. So Red Tree Investments, we're looking to kind of diversify Norwood's portfolio a little bit. Here recently, after the Fed rate cut, we went from 5.4 to 5.1% at Star Ohio. So not bad, still above 5%, but we're just looking to make sure that we diversify with a little bit more length and maturity to kind of lock in some of those rates. From my understanding, I guess the way that Star Ohio does it, they do a lot of like 2-year bonds. Mm-hmm. So while they're not looking at a big percentage drop as of this moment, once those bonds reach maturity and they have to buy new bonds, that's when you'll start to see the, kind of the quick decrease in their rates. So, like I said, Mr. Bonzo wanted to jump ahead of that and just make sure that we kind of lock in some of these rates for a longer period of time. Try to stay on, the track we're going right now with the interest earnings and stuff like that. So kind of a new world for Norwood, branching out a little bit. And yeah, we'll be excited to report those results to you guys whenever they come about. No reconciliation tonight. Like I said, Ava is out. She is doing well. She'll be following up with her primary here next week, I believe. So we look to see her probably back within the next 2 or 3 weeks, at least in a part-time status. So that'll help get the reconciliations back online. I'll tell you, she is pretty much the maintainer of that document. So, but we'll get all that caught back up and back to you guys for more reports and fun.
Awesome.
That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Questions?
Just probably may not know this yet, but will this be the first quarter that recreational marijuana tax receipts will be coming into us?
It's a very good question, and I am not 100% on the answer just yet. I have to kind of assume that the state of Ohio is going to put out some sort of guidance into how those monies can be spent. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that, they're going to, some of it I'm sure is going to be able to be attributed back to the general fund, but I'm sure they're going to have some other things that they want the other stuff to go to. So we're going to wait on that and see what they push out with the rules. And then as soon as I hear about a date that they're planning on pushing out those payments from, and they are supposed to be quarterly whenever they do start. So I don't know if, because it was a partial quarter, that they will skip and just, pay out at the end of the fourth quarter or what. So stay tuned for that.
So I'm excited to see. They seem to be very popular, so every time I see someone, I'm like, oh, that's like $3 there. That's $10 there.
Yeah, so we don't know yet, but I would assume that they'll, whenever they make their minds up and stuff like that on all the rules, they'll push them out to us and let us know. We'll let you know. Or you might know before I know.
Well,
I'll watch the news.
yeah. Thank you.
All right, anything else? Okay. Appreciate y'all being here, and we'll close it up.
Thank you.